Welcome to episode 32 of your CYSA Plus Prepcast. In today's episode, we explore one of the most powerful tools in a cybersecurity analyst's arsenal, Endpoint Detection and Response systems. Known simply as EDR, these platforms provide real-time visibility into endpoint activity, enabling analysts to detect threats early, respond swiftly, and investigate deeply. With threats increasingly targeting endpoint devices, from laptops and workstations to servers and mobile platforms, the role of EDR in the security ecosystem has never been more important. Mastering EDR concepts, capabilities, and best practices is essential for success on the CYSA Plus exam and for becoming a highly capable security analyst in real-world environments. Let's begin by defining what an EDR system does. Endpoint Detection and Response refers to a category of cybersecurity solutions designed to monitor, detect, and respond to suspicious activities on endpoint devices. These systems go far beyond traditional antivirus tools by continuously collecting telemetry and applying behavioral analysis to identify threats that signatures alone would miss. EDR platforms provide analysts with detailed visibility into what is happening on each device, allowing them to track process behavior, file changes, registry modifications, network connections, and user interactions in real time. Unlike legacy antivirus software that primarily relies on known malware signatures, EDR platforms are designed to detect unknown, fileless, or polymorphic threats by analyzing behaviors and contextual data. For instance, if a legitimate process suddenly begins injecting code into another process or connects to an external IP that is not part of its normal behavior, an EDR system will flag that activity. Analysts can then investigate further, validate whether the action was benign or malicious, and take appropriate remediation steps. On the CYSA Plus exam, you may be asked to identify the difference between EDR and antivirus, or determine which EDR function would apply in a given threat scenario. Leading EDR platforms include solutions such as CrowdStrike Falcon, Microsoft Defender for Endpoint, SentinelOne, VMware Carbon Black, and Cisco Secure Endpoint. While each has unique features, all share core capabilities such as process monitoring, file tracking, behavior-based alerts, and response tooling. Analysts must be familiar with how to deploy and operate these platforms, understand their dashboards, and interpret the alerts they generate. CYSA Plus scenarios may present simulated EDR outputs or alert summaries, and you'll need to interpret which behaviors are normal and which require further investigation. At the core of EDR functionality is endpoint telemetry. This includes data on running processes, open files, registry key changes, command line execution, memory usage, and network activity. Analysts rely on this telemetry to identify unauthorized behaviors, such as malware creating hidden scheduled tasks, an attacker escalating privileges, or a compromised user account accessing restricted files. By continuously collecting this data, EDR platforms allow analysts to maintain situational awareness, even if a threat actor attempts to cover their tracks or delete logs. Expect exam questions that ask how endpoint telemetry supports threat detection or how to analyze alerts based on process behavior. One of the most valuable EDR capabilities is real-time alerting and response. Analysts can configure EDR rules to generate alerts when specific behavioral patterns are observed. These alerts may be triggered by known attack techniques, such as execution from temporary directories, suspicious PowerShell commands, or unexpected parent-child process relationships. Analysts can then take response actions such as terminating a process, quarantining a file, isolating the endpoint from the network, or rolling back system changes. This rapid containment prevents threats from spreading and limits damage. You'll likely see CYSA Plus questions that test your understanding of real-time containment and response procedures. Beyond alerting, EDR platforms also support forensic investigation. Analysts use the historical data collected by EDR tools to reconstruct incidents in detail. This includes building timelines of what occurred on the endpoint, identifying how a threat was introduced, which files were affected, and whether data was exfiltrated. Forensic features allow analysts to extract memory samples, review process trees, and gather artifacts for malware analysis. This is especially important in post-incident reviews and root cause analysis. The exam may present forensic data collected from EDR and ask you to interpret what happened and determine next steps. Integration with other platforms is a key part of maximizing EDR value. Many EDR systems can send alerts to a SIEM platform, triggering broader correlation across logs from firewalls, identity systems, and applications. EDR data can also feed into SOAR platforms, where automated playbooks can initiate further analysis or response actions. For example, a malware alert on an endpoint can trigger a workflow that suspends the user's Active Directory account, blocks the associated IP at the firewall, and opens a ticket in the incident management system. The CYSA Plus exam may test your knowledge of these integrations and how they enhance coordinated detection and response. EDR platforms are also central to proactive security initiatives such as threat hunting. Rather than waiting for alerts, analysts use EDR telemetry to search for subtle indicators of compromise. This includes identifying unusual process chains, command line arguments, file access patterns, or external communications that may indicate a threat operating below the radar. Threat hunting with EDR allows analysts to detect advanced persistent threats, uncover dormant malware, and identify suspicious behaviors before they escalate into major incidents. You may be asked on the exam how threat hunting differs from standard alert monitoring, or how to formulate hypotheses based on endpoint behavior. EDR also supports behavioral analytics powered by machine learning. By analyzing millions of endpoint behaviors, these systems can detect patterns that suggest novel threats or abnormal activity. For example, a machine learning model may identify that a legitimate binary is being executed in an unusual context, suggesting that it is being abused as part of an attack. Analysts must review these findings, validate their accuracy, and tune the models to reduce false positives. Machine learning enhances detection, but still requires human oversight. CYSA Plus questions may involve interpreting machine learning alerts or deciding when further investigation is warranted. So Kira, I want to start off by asking you, are you aware of any new data and/or a high-impact case of machine learning that is appropriately qualified to be admitted into the test? For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are more security courses on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. Building on your understanding of EDR architecture, telemetry collection, and alerting functionality, we now turn to how analysts use EDR tools in day-to-day operations. This section focuses on real-world investigative techniques, advanced detection strategies, and the automation and integration capabilities that make EDR such a powerful component in any cybersecurity program. These concepts are not only essential for passing the CYSA Plus exam, but also for delivering consistent, effective security outcomes in high-pressure environments where speed and precision are critical. Modern EDR platforms increasingly incorporate artificial intelligence and machine learning technologies to assist in detection. These advanced features enable analysts to identify previously unseen threats by comparing behavioral patterns across endpoints and detecting subtle anomalies. For example, a machine learning model might identify a legitimate process acting suspiciously due to new command line arguments, timing irregularities, or memory access behaviors. These capabilities help surface threats that traditional rule-based detection may miss. Analysts must review machine-generated alerts carefully, validating findings against threat intelligence and endpoint context to minimize false positives. On the exam, you may be tested on how AI and ML improve detection, or how analysts should handle alerts generated by behavioral analytics engines. To maintain detection efficacy, analysts must continually update and refine EDR rules, detection logic, and behavioral baselines. This includes tuning detection thresholds, excluding legitimate but noisy processes, and adjusting alert priorities based on evolving risk. Threat actors continually adapt their tactics, and EDR systems must be updated accordingly to ensure coverage. Analysts also import updated threat intelligence feeds, including new indicators of compromise and attacker techniques, into the EDR platform. The CYSA Plus exam may ask about maintaining EDR accuracy or how to manage updates to ensure ongoing protection against new threats. Remediation is a core function of any EDR system. Once a threat is confirmed, analysts can perform a range of response actions directly from the platform. These include isolating an endpoint from the network, terminating processes, deleting files, reversing system changes, or performing a full rollback to a previous clean state. Automated remediation capabilities allow analysts to respond quickly and contain threats before they spread. For instance, if ransomware is detected, EDR can automatically block the process, disconnect the endpoint, and stop further encryption. On the exam, expect to evaluate which remediation steps are most appropriate given certain alert types or behavioral findings. Visualization and reporting tools within EDR platforms help analysts communicate risks, track investigations, and document the security posture of an organization. Dashboards often display endpoint health, alert trends, and current active threats. Analysts use these visuals to brief executives, update stakeholders, or support compliance audits. Reports generated from EDR tools include timelines of events, file analysis summaries, and user activity breakdowns. CYSA Plus exam questions may ask you to interpret EDR dashboards or select which data to include in a report based on the type of incident being investigated. Remote investigation is another major advantage of EDR platforms. Analysts can run live queries on endpoints, retrieving current process listings, active network connections, registry keys, or recently executed commands. Some tools allow analysts to initiate memory analysis, collect forensic artifacts, or even browse file systems in real time. This capability is especially useful when investigating endpoints that are in remote offices or used by remote employees. Analysts no longer need physical access to a machine to investigate suspicious behavior thoroughly. The exam may include scenarios where analysts must use EDR tools to gather information from an endpoint that is not physically accessible. Coordination with identity and access management systems is essential during endpoint investigations. If an endpoint alert is triggered, analysts often need to determine whether user credentials have been compromised. EDR tools can share information with IAM platforms to suspend user accounts, enforce password resets, or apply multi-factor authentication challenges in real time. For example, if malware is detected that harvested credentials, the analyst can immediately disable the associated user account to prevent lateral movement. CYSA Plus questions may include identity and endpoint coordination workflows and ask how to prioritize account lockdown procedures. EDR platforms are also valuable for compliance and governance. Many industries require strict tracking of software installations, privilege usage, and access attempts. EDR logs can be used to demonstrate that endpoints are protected, policies are enforced, and threats are responded to in accordance with standards like HIPAA, PCI DSS, or GDPR. Analysts must ensure that logging settings capture the necessary details and that alerts and actions are properly documented for auditors. You may be asked to identify how EDR tools support compliance requirements, or what reports should be generated during an audit. Assessing the effectiveness of an EDR deployment is an ongoing responsibility. Analysts regularly test detection accuracy through simulated attacks, penetration testing, and red team exercises. These tests help identify blind spots, detection gaps, or misconfigured rules. For example, a red team might execute a known malware variant with slight modifications to test whether the EDR can still identify it based on behavior. After each assessment, analysts update configurations, fine-tune rules, and ensure incident response playbooks are aligned with real-world conditions. CYSA Plus exam questions may cover testing procedures, including how to simulate endpoint attacks safely or how to validate that EDR is working as intended. Documentation is another critical responsibility. Analysts must record all actions taken during an investigation, including timestamps, alert responses, analysis steps, remediation actions, and post-incident recommendations. This documentation supports future incident analysis, enables consistent training, and helps organizations learn from past incidents. Analysts also maintain configuration documentation, response workflows, and system integration details for continuity and scalability. On the exam, expect questions about what should be included in endpoint incident reports, or how documentation supports both response and continuous improvement. Finally, analysts play a vital role in user education. By providing training, awareness materials, and one-on-one guidance, analysts help users understand how endpoint threats work and what signs to look for. This might include teaching users to recognize suspicious email attachments, avoid untrusted software, or report performance issues that may be signs of malware. When users are informed, they become the first line of defense, reporting anomalies quickly and reducing the burden on detection systems. CYSA Plus questions may explore how training supports endpoint security or what advice to give a user after an EDR alert is triggered. To conclude this episode, mastering endpoint detection and response systems is essential for every modern cybersecurity analyst. These tools provide deep visibility into endpoint activity, advanced behavioral detection, automated response capabilities, and valuable integration with the broader security ecosystem. From investigation to containment, remediation, and compliance, EDR platforms are at the heart of today's security operations. Prepare for the exam by reviewing endpoint telemetry, practicing real-time response, and learning how to navigate EDR interfaces. Doing so ensures you are ready to defend your organization's most vulnerable assets, its endpoints. Thanks for listening. To learn more about cybersecurity, please visit baremetalcyber.com. There you will find best-selling books, videos, and even more free cybersecurity training courses. Please subscribe to the Prepcast and our various podcasts. And thanks for listening.